My name is Brian. I am a personal trainer, as Virginia just stated, and I've been doing personal training for close to 30 years. I may not look that old, but I am pretty old. I also compete in bodybuilding as a hobby, and this year I actually started competing in the Masters division. But the Masters division only starts at 35, so I don't think that's quite fair, but I'm 45, so I waited 10 years before I started with the Masters division. But that's part of what I do as my hobby, to keep me in shape, to also keep me disciplined, with my lifestyle, my food, whatever. It really helps me learn knowledge to pass on to people like you guys. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about resistance training and what it can do to benefit you guys a little bit. So we're going to talk about what exactly resistance training is, the reasons why you resistance training, like whatever goals you may have, those are the particular reasons to resistance train. The things to think about before you begin a resistance training program, so something to consider. The major benefits, that's going to be the main thing that I want you guys to really pay attention to, because it can really affect your lives in a positive way if you're doing the resistance training correctly as well as consistently. And then I'm going to have my client, Virginia, help us perform some resistance training so I can teach you guys the proper steps on how to do it correctly. I see a lot of people in the gym just going through the motions, and you see those people 5, 10 years and their bodies look the same. So hopefully I can teach you guys how to do a little bit of tweaking on the exercise that you're doing now, if you're doing it, and I can get you guys doing it correctly and help you guys avoid some injuries and actually, add some length to your life a little bit. Okay, what is resistance training? Resistance training is exercise against a specific load. So, can I have everybody stand up for a second, please? Okay, everybody sit down. You guys are going to hate me for this. Okay, everybody stand up again. Okay, have a seat. You guys, believe it or not, just performed a resistance training exercise. Okay, and that's a simple squat. Okay, you may not all have done it correctly or taken it to the level of fatigue. It may have fatigued some of you guys, but that's okay. But that's the whole idea of a resistance training exercise, is to fatigue the muscular system. Okay, now how do we do a repetition? A repetition is consisted of 3 basic moves. Okay, so you got 3 movements in 1 repetition. So let me demonstrate with one of the weights here. I'm going to demonstrate a basic bicep curl. Okay, can everybody see me okay in the back? Should I come to the middle a little bit more? Okay, so for bicep curl, whenever we're counting the repetition, we're going to do it in seconds. Okay, and this is called time under tension. Okay, that's the most important thing to remember when doing your reps. You don't want to just go like that. Okay, you have a negative, which is also called the eccentric. Okay, at the bottom portion, that's your isometric. And then you have a concentric, which is the positive. Okay? The negative absorbs the power. The isometric holds it. The concentric moves it. Okay? So what we want to do is make sure we're going at the proper speed. There's 3 different areas that usually focus on for resistance training: strength, muscle mass, or muscular endurance. And each of those have a different time under tension. For strength, it's about 5 seconds per repetition. So I want to go down, 1, 2, hold for 2, up for 1. That's 5 seconds. 1, 2, 1, 2, squeeze. Okay? Now, if I want to get those muscles to get a little bigger, the negative is going to be a little slower. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, squeeze. Okay? Muscular endurance is going to be even slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? Does everybody get that? Okay, so for strength, it's usually going to be about 4 to 24 seconds per rep, or per set, I should say. For hypertrophy, it's going to be anywhere between 40 to 60 seconds per set. And then for endurance, it's going to be anywhere between 60 to 120 seconds per set. And I hope you guys are writing this down because it might be your homework. Okay, so with the resistance training, a lot of people think that when they go into the gym, you know, they're building muscle. You're not building the muscle while you're doing the resistance training. Okay? You're actually breaking down the tissue. You're actually putting little microfiber tears in the muscle. Not a rip, but it's so microfine that you probably can't even see it, okay? But you're going to feel it. That's the soreness that you're going to feel the next day. It's going to be a little discomfort. It's not going to be something that's going to debilitate you, but just a little bit of discomfort so you know that you've worked that particular area, okay? So the growth happens after you go home, you eat properly, you get your rest, and it probably takes about 48 to 72 hours for that muscle to recover before you can do that particular area again. Okay, now with the calories, I'm going to give you guys a little tip on how many calories you're going to require for either maintaining your body weight, losing your body weight, or gaining some weight. A lot of people want to gain weight, muscular weight. So you might want to write this one down too. A good rule to follow is take your body weight times 15. And that's how many calories you're going to require to maintain your weight. With normal, everyday activity, anything below that, and the numbers we generally use are 10 or 12 calories per pound of body weight. Okay? Anything above that 15, usually 18 to 20 calories times your body weight is going to allow you to gain weight. Okay? Does everybody get that? Do you want me to repeat that again? Okay, so 15 times your body weight. The 15 is calories. Okay? So 15 calories times your body weight is going to be how many calories you need to maintain your weight. Pounds. Kilos, what are those? Anything below that 15, and we generally use 10 as our lowest and 12 as our medium number calories per pound of body weight to put you in a caloric deficit. So that's going to help your body start burning stored body fat. Okay? Anything above that 15, and we don't generally like to go too high, so usually 20 calories is the number that should allow you to gain some good muscular body weight. So 16, 18, 20 max times your body weight is going to help you gain the weight. Okay? Okay, so if our goal is to fatigue the muscular system, we went over the time under tension, okay, but the most important thing I want you guys to remember is the large portion of the strength increase is going to be through your nervous system first. Okay, so the muscular system doesn't usually kick in until about 6 to 8 weeks after going through a program. Okay, so you're generally not going to see any change in the muscular area of growth until after about 8 weeks, if that's your goal. Okay, so you really won't see your body change in a physical aspect that way, but you will, you'll notice more strength, more energy. You're going to stand up straighter, you're going to feel more capable. But the physical changes usually take about 8 weeks to happen. With resistance, there's different types of equipment you can use. This is a bar. They come in all sizes, all the way up from 3 pounds to 50 pounds. You see a lot of classes that have these bars. They're real simple, not a lot of equipment required. A lot of exercises you can do, bicep curls, shoulder press. You can hold it here and, do some squatting. So you can do almost anything with this one. This is a medicine ball, similar to a kettlebell. The kettlebell has just one on top, and you're going to grab it as so. This one I like a lot better because you can do a lot of things with the planes of the body. So this is going to simulate your everyday functional movements. It's going to help you get stronger on those. So I like to challenge my clients with this when they first start. Like I do something to have them put their feet close together and then just work on different positions. Okay? It's going to get your lateral movement a lot stronger. The lateral muscles, it's going to help your balance. I have them bring their feet apart, shoulder blades together. Always keep tight here. Just come over the head. This one's a really good stretch for the whole entire body. You're working the legs, you're working the abs, the shoulders. Another one I like to do, a lot of times when I have two clients together, I line them up with both balls, have them come up and try to knock each other over. Or I have them hit my hands and try to knock me over. So this is a really good one. It gets the heart rate up. It's a good warm-up. But it's going to stimulate the whole body to get stronger. That's the main thing. And then your basic dumbbells. And a resistor ball. How many people have one of these at their house? Oh, awesome. I recommend 2 pieces of equipment everybody should have is this and these. These are 5-pound dumbbells, kind of old, older model, but they're 5 pounds, and you can do any exercise with these 2 pieces of equipment. Okay, one of the best exercises that anybody can do, this is going to work your entire body as well, a simple squat. So the ball is in the small part of my back, lower back, lean back, bring your feet out. Always keep tight here, shoulder blades together. And you can use these for added resistance, kind of light, but if you're stronger, you can go a little heavier. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Exhale on the way up. Inhale down. Real simple. But also, you can do your own body weight for resistance, push-ups, pull-ups, certain exercises we can do on the floor. So there's all types of resistance that you can use, and it's always good to just start at your level. Okay, don't always think you have to grab the heavy weights, but anything that's going to challenge you is what's going to help to benefit you. Okay, now the reasons why we resistance train. General health, not everybody needs to lose weight, not everybody wants to gain weight. Some people are okay with the strength that they have, but to maintain that, like the guy before said, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Okay, so you got to keep the body moving. That's the most important thing. My motto is eat and move, and you're going to live forever. You see people doing these diets where they're cutting their calories way low and they're doing tons of activity. That's not necessary. You got to eat. And that way you don't need to do tons and tons of activity because your body is getting fuel and it's burning. So all you need to do is do enough to equate that, and then you're going to be fine. But don't overdo it. That's the key. Use it or else you're going to lose it. Fat loss. Resistance training is very good for fat loss because you're building muscle tissue, okay? Muscle is metabolic, which means it burns. It has a fuel requirement. So that's why you got to feed the body. If you're resistance training, the most important thing to have is carbohydrates, okay? Your body stores carbohydrates in the muscle as glycogen, okay? But if you don't use it, it's going to store it in the liver as glucose, which is again going to build up and turn to body fat. So if you're lifting weights, you got to have an adequate amount of glycogen in the form of carbohydrates, and your body's going to burn it in a proper way. So if you're doing a resistance training and you're not eating carbohydrates, you're burning that muscle. You don't want to do that. You got to feed the muscle and then use it. It's going to help your body burn fat. It's a real simple process. Sports performance. A lot of athletes are getting stronger, they're getting more flexible, they're getting faster, and a lot of it's due to you getting that muscle stronger. Lifting the weight is actually going to help increase the flexibility of the muscle. So sports performance, and the number one way to get the muscle to grow, again, is resistance training. Thinking about doing resistance, one of the major considerations you guys need to think about is your current lifestyle. If you're somebody who's been sedentary for 10, 20 years, you don't want to just jump into lifting the weights, lifting the bar. You want to start with something that's more your body weight, with the ball behind you. You don't want to load your back up and start trying to balance. And so you got to consider certain things, lifestyle, access of equipment. Like I was recommending, always have something like this and a couple of dumbbells at home, and then you're going to be able to do a complete program. The type of resistance that you do is a consideration. Also having proper guidance. Very good to work with somebody like me. I'm very patient, I'm very thorough, and I care about seeing you guys improve. So I don't say go with a trainer and spend your whole life with that person, but when you're with somebody who's teaching you this, get as much knowledge as you can from them. Ask questions like crazy. Everything you want to know, try to find it out, because you can do this on your own with the proper guidance. It's not hard to do once you learn technique. Everything has a technique, and everybody is in that authority to show you that technique. So find someone who's qualified. It doesn't have to be me. I know you guys are probably scared of me. Most of my clients, when they first come in and see me, they're like, oh my God. And then they tell me 3 weeks later, I was scared of you when I first came in. But then they see that I'm a teddy bear and I don't hurt them. So I may be a big guy, but I don't make my clients work out the way I do, okay? I know how to do the proper movements, and I think it's very important to learn from somebody properly how to do it. Do not go to the gym and watch other people do it, okay? Because you're setting yourself up to get hurt if you do that. Okay, one of the major benefits that I like to talk about is hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means building muscle, basically. So you're building the lean tissue. The lady that's in the slide you guys are looking at, her name is Ernestine Shepherd, and she is now 78 years old, and she is a professional bodybuilder. And she started, get this, she started lifting weights when she was 71. She started exercising when she was 62, and she went to a gym and saw this professional bodybuilder training these clients, and she asked him, "Do you think I can do that?" He said, "If you do everything I say, you stay consistent, and you give me your best effort, I have you on stage in a year and a half." And he did. And to this day, she gets up at 5 in the morning, she drinks her protein shake, she does her cardio, she comes home, she eats her breakfast, she goes to the gym and puts herself through a resistance training exercise with that same trainer. And I don't know how many shows she's won, but she's competed in a lot of contests. And 78 years old. So it's not too late for you guys to get started. The weight training is also going to speed up your metabolism, okay? For every pound of muscle that you gain, you're going to burn an extra 50 calories just sitting there, okay? So that's a lot. Think about gaining, 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle per year. Your bodies are going to be machines. You're going to be revved up machines, always burning. So that's going to allow you to eat more. Another benefit is it prevents sarcopenia. This sounds like some crazy disease, but it's not a disease. It's just the body's reduction in muscle tissue quality as you age because of lack of activity. Okay, so that's something that can easily be prevented with a simple resistance training program. Only twice a week, 30 minutes. Okay, the best way to tell if you're losing muscle is to do a body fat test. Okay, they probably used to have the BMI chart. Has anybody ever heard of that? Body mass index. I don't agree with that because based on the body mass index, I'm obese. So what they do is they take your height versus your weight. Okay, and that's all they really pay attention to. So they don't take into consideration athletes, that have a little bit more muscle tissue, based on their size. So a good way to do it is, I have what's called calipers, and we just pinch certain areas in the body, and it calculates how much body fat you have. Real simple to do, doesn't hurt, but that's probably 100% more accurate than the BMI, because I'm not obese, trust me. By 70 years old, it's been stated that most people are only going to have 50 to 55% of their original muscle tissue left. So it's very good to get started with anything where you're challenging your muscular system right now, because you don't want to start doing that because then other factors are going to come in, you're going to gain weight, heart disease, high blood pressure. Those are things that can be prevented with the simple fact of lifting weights. Body fat reduction. So, like I said, it increases your metabolism, and leads to fat loss. When you are doing, for example, you're doing your cardio exercise, while you're doing it, your body is burning primarily carbohydrates, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, when you're doing your resistance training exercise, your body is burning primarily carbohydrates. That's the fuel that it uses. After you're finished, that's when your body burns the fat, okay? So about 12 to 14 hours of fat burn just from that 30 to 45 minutes of resistance training, okay? So that's why that is so good. Now you add the cardio and the resistance training. Cardio is probably going to allow you to burn fat for about 6 to 10 hours after you're finished with the activity. So if you add up the two, you're pretty much going to be burning fat for 24 hours, okay? So that's why it's very important to not only include the resistance, but also add a little bit of cardio on top of that, okay? So it's going to aid in the simple stuff that you guys do. You know, things might fatigue you, you know, putting your groceries away. That's another benefit of doing the resistance. Just the simple things that you do in your gardening, whatever, it's not going to hurt you. You know, you're going to be able to do it and then, you know, go out dancing with your mate afterwards. You're not going to be too tired. Just because you've strengthened your muscles, the everyday things you do are going to be that much easier. Stronger bones. This is very, very important. When you put strain on your bones, and this is called Wolff's Law. So I'll just read this to you. Wolff's Law, bone will adapt in response to stress placed on it, and it adapts by laying down more bone at the stress point. So basically what that's saying is when you lift weights and is putting that tension on the bone, it's helping the body release more collagen and more calcium. So the collagen is the soft tissue that's in the bone, and the calcium is the hardening that's in the bone. So it releases both of those to make that bone be able to give, okay, and absorb that weight. So that's how the bone gets stronger, is by putting more force on it, and it adapts. So the body is very, very capable at adapting to a lot of different things. 99% of the calcium that's in the bone is also in the teeth, and only 1% of that calcium is in the blood. It's also going to help with osteoporosis. The bone becomes brittle. That's what osteoporosis is. So again, the weight training is going to harden that bone and keep it from becoming brittle and breaking. Stronger heart. This one is very, very important. This is the top way to keep your heart healthy, and this was based on a study by the American Heart Association, the Council on Exercise. They published a study concluding that when prescribed and supervised properly, resistance training has positive effects on muscular strength, endurance, cardiovascular function, coronary risk factors, metabolism, and psychosocial well-being, okay? And those are all factors that affect the heart. It can help prevent heart disease. This is the leading cause of death among people in the U.S. And the number one risk factor, can you guys guess what it is? Exactly, lack of exercise. Number 2 is smoking. Number 3 is a high-fat diet. Number 4 is a high-salt diet. Okay, so those are all things that we can control, you know, so especially the first one, you know, develop a routine every day, 3 days a week, twice a week, you know, do something to move your bodies, you know, and try to include the resistance training in that. It lowers cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and it raises the good cholesterol. It can lower blood pressure. It can lower blood pressure by as much as 20%, okay? And that's coming from doing the resistance training, which leads to the blood getting more to the extremities, okay? So the blood gets more efficient at its flow because you're using it, okay? So all these things can help you guys stay healthy. Okay, now we're going to go over how to do a resistance training exercise. So I'm going to have Virginia come up and help me out here. All right. Whenever we're working with clients, I always like to look at their posture. Because if I have, you got great posture, don't even worry. The main thing I look at when I look at someone's posture is their ear, shoulder, hip, and knee relation. Okay? Because that's telling me what the spine is doing. If they have any curvatures that are too much in one way, for example, people that sit at their desks all day, what do? They do like this. So now their shoulders are rounded, their head is protruded, their spine is curved, and everything is not aligned optimally. Okay, so before I do any type of resistance, I always make sure their spine is aligned properly, and if it's not, I fix it. I'm just kidding. No, so what I do is I point out little things to show them how to get that spine in a neutral position. So Virginia's is very good. I would probably have her pull your shoulder blades together just a little more. Perfect. And then I'm going to touch your chin. I'm just going to push your head slightly back. So now her ear is in a line there. And it's going to feel uncomfortable for them maybe at first, but then we work with different stretches to loosen up tight areas that might be keeping them in that position. Okay, and once I got her in a neutral position, now we have to stabilize that position. Okay, so we stabilize that position by pulling the core musculature in. Okay, so what I want you to do is take your belly button and push it all the way to my hand back here. Perfect. Exhale, but don't let out. Exhale and push it in. Good. Okay, inhale, push it out. Inhale. Okay, now exhale, pull it in. Good. So what she just did was a diaphragmatic breathe. Okay, she breathed through her diaphragm. So a lot of times when we breathe, we do this. You don't want to do that. You don't want to breathe through your rib cage. Because what I'm doing, see these muscles? Those are my scalene muscles. So when I breathe up, those muscles are working overtime, and that's what a lot of times causes tightness in here. So when we breathe, you want to breathe through your diaphragm. So when you inhale, you're expanding. When you exhale, you pull it in. And you keep it in there real tight. You don't hold your breath, but you keep it in there. You got it tight? See how balanced she is now? That's her balance. As soon as she does that, your core is your balance. So now she's stable, okay? So now she can perform an exercise properly, and it's going to be moved with the right muscles, okay? So the first exercise I want you to do, I want you to pull your palms up this way. I'm going to give you some weights. This is called the anatomical position. Okay? She did the diaphragmatic breathing by engaging the transverse. Okay? Now, these are the three different types of motions that most are involved with the resistance training. I'm going to have her do the flexion and extension. So the flexion is just shortening the muscle. So bring it up, good. Now, extension is usually against a load, but coming down is extending that weight also. Okay? So as you do that, I want you to exhale on the positive inhale on the negative, okay? So you're always exhaling when it's the most challenging, inhaling when you're absorbing that power, okay? Perfect. Next exercise. This one I'm going to do the abduction where you lie on your side.
Oh, I know.
I know. This is another good exercise that's going to help with the balance. This one is called an abduction. Abduction means you're just taking away from the body. And believe it or not, the leg that's on the bottom is probably going to be working just as hard as the leg on the top. So those are basic exercises that you can do, again, with the ball, with the dumbbells. You know, we can do all the different positions. I'm going to have you do one more. Okay, this one, I'm going to hold your elbows. This is for the rotator cuffs. So bring the weights back to me. Good. Okay, this is an external rotation. This is a great one to do. You want to start with real light weights. You want to do this motion until it burns. Is it burning yet? Okay, good.
Burn, baby, burn.
Good. Give her a hand. Okay, so one of the things that I didn't want to do with her here because it would take in longer, but we want to monitor that path of the motion. Okay, so when we're doing a bicep curl, I don't want her to come up here. Real quick, can anybody tell me why? What am I doing? I'm resting that muscle. So I want to keep that muscle under tension. Remember the whole time under tension? It's not under tension now because it's way up here. But if I keep it here, now it's still under tension. Okay? So we got to monitor the path that she's going, the range of motion, the speed of motion. Again, that's back to the time under tension. And the last one is the proper breathing. Okay, so always on the concentric exhale. Okay, and the breathing in the beginning is going to be difficult for a lot of people. I still have some clients who can't figure it out. But when the weight is getting a little challenging, it really helps to get your breathing down properly. So you're exerting force. Really get that breathing. Inhale. Control. It helps you control it better. And then you're going to really get the force with the exhalation.
Well, Brian, mahalos for keeping us healthy and